So let's get into some Joel Magnuson. Why? We don't need Karl Marx. He's 1848. We're going to prescribe a bunch of 1800. No, for 2000, that doesn't make any sense. So we're going to go to Joel Magnuson, The Approaching Great Transformation. So Joel Magnuson, he wrote a book, Beyond Capitalism. I think he's a socialist. So, you know, we don't need Karl Marx. Why? Because we got Joel Magnuson. Now, what's Joel Magnuson going to say on page 17? The Twilight of the Oil Age. The Oil Age is basically the 20th century, 1900s. Future historians, if there will be any, may consider it as one of those meta-historical epics like the Stone Age or the Iron Age, though on the historical timeline it would be comparatively very short. On a chart of geological time, the Oil Age would appear as nothing more than a hair-thin blip. Nonetheless, its significance in human history is profound. Up to the end of the 19th century, 1890s, industrialization and economic growth were powered by coal and the steam engine. Oil, or petroleum, was used mainly to refine into kerosene for lamps. That changed rapidly by the early 20th century, 1900s. Coal was used to power external combustion steam engines, which used water boiled by an external heat source for power. Steam engines had their day, but soon were rendered obsolete as inefficient and cumbersome technology compared to the internal combustion engine, powered by petroleum-based liquid fuels. The oil age got its debut with the simultaneous development of two important technologies, the internal combustion engine and the commercial refining and production of oil. The internal combustion engine uses high-energy liquid fuels refined from oil, such as gasoline, that are combusted directly inside the engine for power, like water. Gasoline is lightweight, can be stored in a compact tank, and can easily be pumped directly into the engine. This allowed mechanical engineers to do away with the heavy baggage of the steam engine's pile of coal, boiler tank, and steam turbine. And while the design of the internal combustion engine was being perfected, the oil industry also quickly expanded its drilling and pumping operations and engineered hydrogen gas technology to efficiently refine or crack oil into gasoline. These simultaneous developments revolutionized the transportation and agricultural industries. The development of gas-powered cars, trucks, boats, aircraft, train locomotives, and tractors and other farm implements caused a productivity boom that led to subsequent waves of economic growth and development. The ascent of the oil age was all but preordained. Henry Ford's company mass-produced about 250,000 cars in 1913, and by 1929 the number jumped to 29 million. About the same time, the Wright brothers developed various models of the Wright Flyer aircraft, also powered by internal combustion motors. Between 1892 and 1903, gasoline-powered tractors were also being developed, and by 1917, Henry Ford began mass-producing the Fordson tractor. Tractors replaced oxen, horses, and human labor in the fields, and food became much more abundant and less expensive. The pace of economic production and daily life accelerated dramatically, and when the jet aircraft engine was developed in 1945, the world suddenly became a much smaller place. In the decades that followed, auto manufacturing, industrial agriculture, and air travel became leading industries, and they're all based on the steady and abundant supply of cheap oil. Cheap oil has been more than the basis for fuels to power industrial growth. As engineers in the 1960s developed chemical fertilizers and pesticides synthesized from oil, agricultural output experienced another major productivity boom known as the Green Revolution. The technology was applied everywhere, but its impact was felt particularly in developing countries that were experiencing severe problems of hunger. As a result of applying synthetic chemicals to wheat production, wheat output increased in developing countries from 750 kilograms per hectare in 1950 to well over 2,500 kilograms per hectare in 2000. Global food production increased exponentially, but the Green Revolution rendered much of the world's population dependent on oil, mechanization, and prodigious amounts of irrigation for survival. By the 1970s, so Joel Magnuson, the twilight of the oil age.